Hey, you guys. It's episode 56 of the Matinee Show. If you will notice, remember on one show, I don't remember what episode it was, when we said that we would like Dennis to have a little Santa hat for the holiday season. I know it's not the holiday season, but I figured that this could be his Halloween costume as well. Yeah. Our friend Tara sent us this little bitty Santa hat.
Santa hat.
I wasn't expecting it, and I just got this tiny little package in the mail, and it's just like I opened it and laughed my ass off. Look at him. Well, it's like, in case his little bald head gets cold.
It's a Christmas thing, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and Happy Halloween.
We have Christmas in prison.
Yeah, I'll bet you do.
Well, of course, it's the day that Jesus was born,
He's got the little cross right there.
Yeah.
Everything. All right, so as usual, we're going to be reviewing 3 new things. Again, I think we did 2 on Shudder this week and 1 in the theater. So the first one we're going to be talking about is Creepshow 2019, the series, episode 4.
Yeah, Shudder exclusive.
A Shudder exclusive.
Yeah, once again, this series delivering.
I liked the first one a lot better than the second one, I have to say.
Well, each one's a little variety. You got, variety,
Yeah.
The first one was classic, Kind of reminded me of like an old Night Gallery episode.
It was a bit like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's about this guy, this black guy, he's a farmer, and his wife dies. So he decides to make a companion. This looks like it's happening sometime in the 30s when he did that. It's hard to tell.
I'm not sure how long ago it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's it's hard to tell what time frame this is happening.
Because the modern time frame that kid is in, that's like modern day. But then when he goes back and finds
I don't want to spoil it. Dude made a companion. It was kind of like a damn scarecrow in clothes. It made out of damn animal bones, and it came to life, and it killed a little girl.
A Girl Scout.
Yeah, Girl Scout. So
that was pretty brutal, I have to say.
Yeah, the guy
I didn't expect.
Guy took it apart or something, or
he put a cane through.
Yeah, that's right. He stuck a cane.
It had a fabric heart that his wife had made before she died.
Yeah,
and that seemed to be the thing that was animating it.
Yeah, really, just that's all you find all that out kind of like in a flashback. It's about this kid being bullied. This bully's beating him up. So
it's his older brother, I think.
Is it his brother?
Yeah.
Okay. So he runs off. He runs off out into the woods and runs upon this old abandoned farmhouse, and he goes down in there, and damn monster's chasing him. This
scarecrow.
It's like a scarecrow looking type thing with animal bones in it. He even goes downstairs and finds the old guy, with his head blown off, his rotten old body down in there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the first one, if we didn't mention it, this is called The Companion.
The Companion. Yeah.
And it was directed by David Bruckner, who did, a couple of other segments on this series also. The screenplay was done by Matt Venny, but it was actually based on a story by Joe Lansdale, and as well as Casey Lansdale and Keith Lansdale, so they kind of collaborated on this one. I can't remember the name of the short story collection that this was in. Bumper Crap, I think it was called.
Yeah.
So that's where this came from. And it really gave me, one, I have to say, the scarecrow monster effects are great. This is, a really cool looking monster. I especially like all his fingers, how they come out and it's, all vines and sticks and stuff like that. Yeah, that was, really, really cool.
Yeah, it's something kind of out of fucking folklore. And I liked the farmer was played by an old black guy, but you totally buy into it that this guy's character, you know what I mean? He's just this super depressed old black dude, living out in this damn farm, running this, his wife died, and it's just a fucking. It kind of reminds me of an old creepy Night Gallery story.
Yeah.
Very much like the Night Gallery.
The character, the farmer in particular, I think is very kind of similar to, it had very much the same tone as the first movie from 1982. I also have to say, too, that when the kid was running from the bully and finds the farmer with the blown off head with the shotgun and everything in the basement of the farmhouse.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be Jordy Verrill from the first movie.
Yeah.
Didn't you think that too?
Yeah, I kind of thought that it was something to do
maybe
with it.
maybe they were just like homaging that, but I was sitting there going, hey, is that
Right.
farmer Jordy Verrill? And like this is some like new offshoot of that story, which I thought that would be
Yeah,
kind of
well, I
neat.
suspected it at the time, but then when it goes to the flashback and tells you who it
Yeah,
was.
it's a totally different guy.
Yeah, and the Stephen King, Jordy, is that his name, Jordy?
Jordy Verrill, yeah.
Yeah, he was upstairs when he blew his head off.
That's right.
And there was moss and fungus everywhere. And
Yeah.
You know, this one just had a bunch of vines.
Yeah.
So it was a different story. It was good though.
But I do feel like it might have been homaging that a little bit.
Yeah, but it kind of reminded me of some of those creepy night gallery stories about the kid who has the monster and buries it up in rocks. Remember, and it comes out later. That was a weird one.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And then the one where the boys are playing around in that old guy's farm, and he's telling them to dig, go to that old tree and go east and go 10 paces and dig, and you'll find a big surprise. Remember that? And they dig down there and find that damn box, and the old man comes out and goes, surprise! That was that old dude.
I do remember that one.
Was
That was a good episode.
Yeah, surprise! Give that kid a damn heart attack.
That's right.
That was a
Well,
badass
this reminded me too a little
Scared the
bit.
shit out of me when I was a kid.
This had a very similar vibe to the recent Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, particularly the one, the kind of the scarecrow little vignette about that, like about the bully getting killed and stuff. But like I said, I'm not sure how old the Joe Lansdale story is that this is based on, but it just gave me kind of like a similar vibe to that. Also a little bit like Goosebumps, but scarier than that. And also, like I said, a Girl Scout gets killed by the scarecrow, in a pretty horrible way.
It's a pretty damn heavy story, though.
So
I
I'm like, yeah, I really ended up liking this one. Like I said, it's Joe Lansdale. You can't really go wrong with his
that creepy
stuff.
old black dude as the farmer. He wasn't creepy, just depressing, kind of sad old dude. You know what I mean?
I just thought it was funny.
It was a weird story.
The cool thing about his character was that, I mean, on its face, it seems like a ridiculous thing to do. Like, my wife has died and I'm lonely and I live out here on this isolated farm. I'm going to make the creepiest looking scarecrow imaginable. And, I'm going to put bones in it. I'm going to put, like, all this, like, scary shit in it.
Yeah, and that's going to be
and
my
then it's
friend.
like, it's going to be my friend. And then, like, it comes to life and you're like, oops, my bad.
Well, that's why that was so fucking creepy, though.
I know. I just thought there was no logic to it, but he just, like, leaned right into it. And you bought it. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
what I was saying.
I can see that happening. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really, really liked this segment of it called The Companion. Now, the second one was called Lydia Lane's Better Half, and this was actually an original story, which I believe was written by Greg Nicotero, who also directed it. Actually, no, I think maybe John Harrison wrote it, and then Greg Nicotero had come up with the story, but you know what I mean. So this one had to do with a woman who was like, she's like Lydia, the titular Lydia Lane. She is like a high-powered CEO. And I guess she's got, like, she's up in this, like, penthouse apartment or whatever, and she's got two candidates for, I think, it's a promotion, I don't remember if it's COO or CFO or one of those things, like, in her company, and she picks the man. The woman there is also, happens to be her girlfriend, whose name is Celia. Celia is understandably miffed by this development. They have a large argument. Lydia subsequently, well, she doesn't kill Celia, it's an accident, but then stupidly she decides that, well, I can't find, no one can find this body in my apartment even though it was clearly an accident, like her getting killed. So she tries to get rid of the body by taking it down the hall and putting it in the elevator, and I don't know where she's going to take it then. Maybe she's going to put it in the dumpster, I don't know. And then it so happens that she gets stuck in the elevator because there is an earthquake. So this one, I mean, it's a very simple setup. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of a storyline that would have been on the original Creepshow, but I wasn't super crazy about this one. I think it was because the character of Celia, who was dead and she kept like coming back doing creepy shit, and you weren't really sure if she was really doing the creepy shit or if this was like a Telltale Heart situation where just like Lydia's guilt was like making her see all these things. I don't really know how that was playing out. But I felt like Lydia didn't really deserve what she got, because I feel like a lot of the shit in the Creepshow, I mean, the whole Creepshow thing, like all the stories about it are usually like revenge stories, and it's usually like bad people like having bad things happen to them. But Lydia, she, it's like, she was arguing with Celia. She didn't give her the promotion because she, maybe she thought the other dude was better, or she wanted to spend more time with the girlfriend or whatever, but it's like, she didn't really like deserve what happened to her, you know what I mean? So I feel like Celia, the one that got killed, was like the bad guy, and she kind of ended up winning. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just one of the stories they're going to tell us in this series. You know what I mean? Every story's different. They're all good. Yeah. But some are better than others. That's what.
Yeah, which is what you're going to get with an anthology show.
That's just the way it is. Yeah.
I liked this one better than a couple of the other ones, but I do think this was one of the weaker ones, just because you kind of knew how it was going to play out. It had like some cool like gore effects. It had like some cool like suspense and stuff like that. But I don't know, something about it didn't really like grab me as much as some of the other ones. But that said, I really did like the companion. And like I said, that's, I probably liked Lydia Lane's better half a little bit better than the All Hallows Eve one. Just because it was gorier and had more of the, it was like confined space, and it was, kind of good in that way. But
still, the moral of the story is that Shudder's worth getting for down $5-6 a month. Or what was it, like $50 a year, $40,
$56,
which even knocks it down even less, like $4 and something cents a month.
Yeah,
you get Creepshow included, which is a great series and a lot of old classic horror movies.
And like I said, there's a bunch of other series on there. And then there's
new ones on there. Too. Yeah, I mean I'm liking Shudder more than I like Netflix, actually, for my taste. We're just keeping Netflix because it's got MST on there and a couple other little series, but for the money, this is a good. Shudder is a good service.
Well, I have been reading. I read an article that came out a couple days ago that said that Creepshow was like breaking all Shudder streaming records. Like it was the highest, streamed thing on the service thus far.
I'm sure that was a good investment to buy that series. That's going to attract people to it.
That's what I'm saying.
I bought YouTube just so I can watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
I loved Cobra Kai.
I did too.
I'm just going to keep this.
Yeah, if you have a good enough series, like that will turn people on to your service. It's like, especially if it's not horribly expensive. It's just like, $5-6 a month. That's like, that's like throwaway money. Yeah. So
that's what I buy on a drink. Spend it on a drink.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's like you spend more than that on a fucking cocktail, for Christ's sake. Yeah. It's like I've spent more than twice that on a cocktail before. So it's like not really that big a deal. And like you said, if you get Shudder, you not only get like Creepshow, but you get like a whole bunch of other cool shit as well.
That you're not going to see it on Netflix.
That you're not going to see anywhere else.
Yeah, all Blu-ray quality too.
I think there is only 2 more episodes of Creepshow. But since it's been so successful,
they'll do new ones.
I would imagine that they will probably continue with it because it looks like they've gotten like a lot of new subscriptions because of it, and it's kind of attracted a lot of new people. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, it's it's an anthology series, so it's going to be kind of a mixed bag. Some of them are better than others, but that's kind of like the good thing about it, because ones that I think are the best, like other people didn't like so much, and vice versa. So
even Mandy,
there's something for everybody.
Mandy started off as a Shudder exclusive, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like they didn't make it, but they
were the first.
They were the first ones to get it. They had like exclusive rights to it, so they got it like very, very shortly after it.
Mandy's streaming. I fucking love that movie.
I do too, man.
Did I get that on Blu-ray?
No, you did not.
I didn't get it. I gotta get that. I gotta get it on Blu-ray.
No, we have to get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Creepshow episode 4. We'll be doing episode 5 next week. We haven't even watched it yet. Usually we would have watched it by now, but we didn't get around to it. All right, so the second movie we took in this week, we actually saw a bunch of new ones this week, but this was the one that we kind of both liked the best, so we wanted to talk about this one. This one is called Belzebuth. I guess I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, this movie was kind of surprising. It's kind of like a southwest of the border Mexican-American adventure about possession.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like...
This was another Shudder exclusive, wasn't it?
It is, yeah. It actually, I think this came out maybe in Mexico and South America last year, but it didn't premiere in North America until June of 2009 at the Cinepocalypse Festival. Yeah. And then Shudder put it up just like a week or 2 ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that. And yeah, it's like, it's an American-Mexican co-production, and it's set on, I guess it's set in like a border town.
Yeah.
Like right on the border. It's almost kind of, I want to say that it's like the opposite of The Omen. You know what I mean? Because you know how, like, The Omen is, like, it's the Antichrist, and, like, you have all these, like, evil people, like, trying to protect the Antichrist? Well, this is like that, except that there's a kid that's the Messiah.
Trying to protect the Messiah.
And then there's, like, evil people, like, trying, and then there's, like, a scary, like, defrocked priest that's trying to protect the Messiah, or trying to find the Messiah, and the evil people are trying to protect him.
Yeah.
And shit like that. So this was directed by a guy called Emilio Portez, who I think the last thing he did was actually a comedy, and it might have been, like, 7 or 8 years ago. It's been a while.
So you can't do one of these kind of movies without the story being told from the Catholic perspective.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't work otherwise.
if you don't do this as if Catholicism is real, fucking these kind of stories fall apart. So this is a Catholic movie, but it's a Catholic horror movie. And it's cool. It's got some Mexican cops started to work with an American FBI guy who is all studies the paranormal.
Yeah, it's like it's like a paranormal unit.
Yeah, kind of like
a secret one.
Kind of like
an X-Files type.
Yeah, kind of like the guy from Frighteners and the Jeffrey Combs character from the Frighteners. What was his name? Who was kind of like a paranormal FBI guy. And the movie is in English and Spanish about 50-50. So that means no matter where you market it, you just change the subtitles.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. So it's about 50% subtitled. Certain spots. It starts off with a bang.
The first 15 minutes. Okay, I have to say.
First 15 minutes. Okay, I'm watching this. When I saw it, I'm gonna watch this.
Now I have to say, if you have a problem with violence against children, this is not the movie for you.
No. Possessed person goes nuts in the nursery and kills up all the little kids and kills a bunch of people with a butcher knife, right?
Yeah.
And then one of the kids that died was the cop's son, newborn son.
Yeah, he had literally just been born.
Just been born, and that's how the movie starts.
Yeah, and I was like, you have my attention.
I'm watching this shit.
That's for sure.
So then the rest of the story goes on. It's got real good visuals. They kept CGI down to a minimum. They just a bunch of lighting effects. So there were some practical effects. But mostly what made it good was just the storytelling. It's kind of an old school story in a way. It's kind of like a movie that would have come out of the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah, I have to say,
sort of content.
It's kind of like it's like a possession movie. It's a demon movie and stuff like that. But I think it's elevated by this sort of, like I said, the first 15 minutes are actually quite shocking. Like, you don't see a lot of violence directed against this many children in this particular way.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of has that aspect going for it too that really gets you invested in the characters. And I have to say, the main character, who's the main cop, whose newborn son gets killed at the beginning, his name's Emmanuel Ritter in the movie. He's played by Joaquin Cosio, who's been in a bunch of other things. I think he was on Narcos and a bunch of other stuff. But he plays this part so well. Because, so after his son gets killed, and then there's a 5-year gap, and then there's all these other, terrorist attacks, essentially, that are targeting children, large groups of children at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he has to look into why this is happening, and then he's kind of butting heads with this, paranormal unit that comes down. And one guy in particular, who's coming down from the U.S. because they know the whole demon shit that's going on, and they know about this rogue priest who's played by Tobin Bell from Saw, and he's all bald with a big beard and tattoos all over him, and he's super scary looking and shit like that. But like I said, it's almost kind of like, I have to say that you can tell that it's low budget, but the way that they shot it is really nice. The acting is fantastic.
Yeah.
There were a couple little CGI, I think some CGI blood that was okay, and there was one with a Jesus type.
Yeah, this is the thing that threw me out of the movie.
Yeah.
All right. It's a good movie. I like it. It was.
I liked it a lot too. It was surprisingly good.
They spent money on some CGI in a scene to where a big crucifix of Jesus fell on the ground, and it got a demon started to speak through
to
it.
animate it, yeah.
And tried to animate it. And it just looked a little too over the top. I wouldn't have done any CG at all. I would have just had a disembodied voice coming out of a damn statue and done a camera angle from the back of the damn crucifix, showing the guys looking at the you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
So you never really saw the crucifix, and the crucifix didn't move, but they would have heard a voice coming
out of it, yeah.
And maybe the crucifix might have rattled or something. That would have been a lot more effective.
Well, like I said,
and cheaper to do.
Well, yeah.
And I would have bought into that. I would have been like, wow, man. And then they would have been like, did that happen? Did the voice really come out of that? You know, instead of having a jumping Jesus. They had a damn jumping Jesus.
On a pogo. He wasn't on a pogo stick.
He's jumping Jesus on the thing. And there's like the paint's cracking and falling. And it just... It doesn't look real.
Like, it was kind of cool looking, but it was really obviously CGI.
Yeah, it was very obvious CGI, and the scene went on for too long, and I just think it was a waste of money. It would have been better to do with some disembodied voices, a camera angle, and maybe just the like a poltergeist activity.
Yeah,
you know what
just
I mean?
like Shudder.
Shudder. That would have been a lot scarier.
Well, in general...
And cheap.
And I mean, you know, we probably talked about this before. In general, in horror movies, not always, it's not like a across-the-board rule, but in general, horror movies work better when, less is more.
Less is more. Yeah.
Like, when you don't show as much.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be so, like, we're never going to show anything, and, like, you know... Well, I don't know. Some movies have gotten away with that.
That was the only
scary, but...
that was the only scene there I didn't agree with the direction and what they did.
Yeah, other than that,
I like the rest of it.
I did as well. And I even liked the way they shot, like, the opening sequence with all the kind of attacks against the kids and stuff.
That sucked me right in.
That's what I mean. One, it was like, it was dynamite beginning. It's like, because it immediately got you like into it, and you really got like emotionally invested into the cop, because that was like his baby, and you could like really see the like emotion on his face, and then like
that
all
dude's
the
a
shit.
great actor, right?
He is. He's been in a ton of other shit as well.
Yeah.
But you know, and then shit happened with his wife and all this other kind of stuff. So you could really see like his pain and why he wanted to like sort this out, as much as like his partner was being like, man, you shouldn't be on this case because you're too closely related to it, you know, and all this other kind of stuff. But he was just like dogged in his determination to find out what was going on. So he was really like the heart of the movie. And, you know, like you said, it's like, you know, when it gets toward the end, it's kind of like the Omen sort of vibe, but it's like, I think
a little more action than the Omen.
Well, yeah, it's a lot more action-packed than that. And I think it kind of had enough of... I mean, there's so many possession movies. There's so many demon movies. You know, I can see if people might get sick of them, but you can...
Go ahead. The movie goes South American on you.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to. It goes straight up South American, Catholic action, demonic action movie.
Yeah.
I was loving it. I understand the culture. You know, coming from Brazil, I understand the culture. And it had a lot of elements of an 80s or a 90s horror movie where it was the writing was good. You know what I mean? It was a story. You know, it was a story that you would tell back then.
Yeah. And
it's still working the way that they showed it. And then they did the classic move from that era. They left it open for a sequel.
Yeah.
They leave it open for a sequel, and everybody wants to see that. Even if you didn't really like the movie, you kind of want. I always want
to see what happens.
I want to see. Even if you didn't really like the movie, you still kind of want to see it end where you could make a sequel on that.
Yeah.
And and they telegraph it, which I liked it.
Yeah, I did as well. It's like it was.
Yeah, it's traditional.
I mean, I was expecting it to be like pretty good, but it was actually like better than I expected.
Yeah, a lot better.
Especially like that opening was just like fantastic.
Yeah.
And I liked the way that, because you said they had like that kind of Central American, South American flavor to it, where the supernatural was like pervading people's everyday lives, which I thought was kind of like a cool angle as well.
Yeah.
So, even if you're like sick of demon movies or sick of possession movies, and like I said, I know there are a lot of one and there are a lot of bad ones.
This was a good one.
But this was actually a really good one.
Yeah. It was fun. You could sit there and drink and watch this movie. You did have fun with it.
That's his main thing.
That's my main thing.
Judging the movie. But so it's on Shudder exclusive. So if you don't have Shudder, then you should get it, because you need to check out these first two things. Yeah, this was like a really, really good movie. A nice surprise.
Yep.
Okay, and the third movie we saw this week, we actually went to the theater and see it.
Yeah.
This is one I've been looking forward to for a long time. This is The Lighthouse.
This is a weird-ass movie. I liked it.
I did too.
I liked it. Yeah, the thing is, though, is that for the general audience, this is not a good movie.
Well, no. This is definitely... And Robert Eggers does not make stuff for a general audience.
Yeah. After this movie was over, I heard the people like, that was fucking weird. What was that? You know, it's kind of like an old movie from the early 20s or the teens. It's shot at a real tight aspect ratio, like on an old-fashioned camera. It's about some guys watching a lighthouse. You have to know certain things about Greek mythology to understand the movie. You have to know some stuff about maritime culture and
legends and stuff.
Legends. Yeah. And so if you're a dumbass millennial and you don't know this kind of shit, you're not going to know what to make of this fucking movie. Things are going to look like MacGuffins when they're not really MacGuffins. They're symbolic for things like Promethean fire and what a Promethean death is. They don't know much about Poseidon and different interpretations of gods and a god of the land and a god of the sea and how a man from the land might interpret God in a different way than a man from the sea. A man from the sea is not going to see... He's not going to see Zeus. He's going to see Poseidon as God, and and then is he going to channel Poseidon through him? And then there's a big fucking story arc about the water being bad, so then they have to drink booze, and when that runs out, they start drinking the oil from the damn lighthouse. And are they going insane? What the hell's happening? It's a weird movie.
It is very weird.
It's a weird movie.
It was batshit crazy, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. Now, I have to say, like I said, okay. Now, this is the second movie by Robert Eggers. Obviously, he got massive acclaim for the much-beloved horror film, The Witch. This one, okay, it's not super similar to that one. It's similar in the sense that it concentrates on, like, New England folklore, like, for the setting. Although this one is actually set in the late 19th century, whereas The Witch was set in the 17th century. He also, obviously, again, just like he did in The Witch, he took great pains to get everything period exact. Just like in The Witch, where he used actual dialogue from witch trials, and he got all the, clothes were period specific, and he got them all made specifically. He did the same thing with this one. He used, like, actual old ship logs from the 1890s. He used Herman Melville stories. He used for all the dialogue and things like that, so he could get it as period accurate as he could. And like you said, it's filmed in black and white. It's filmed in a very tight, like a 4:3 aspect ratio, which actually I liked that because it made it feel claustrophobic. Because that was one of the themes of the movie, was the claustrophobia of these two guys in this lighthouse.
On this island
where there's nobody else around, and they're just like slowly
driving each other
insane. Or are they?
Yeah, you're not sure. And, I lived on a desert island, when I was in the Army, OP-311, fucking in Egypt. In the MFO mission, you can actually look up OP-311. It's called The Rock. There's actually videos of it on YouTube. But it's a bigger island than that, and there were about 8 of us on it. And we'd be out there a month at a time. And that's how long these guys are going to be there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 4 weeks. Yeah,
4 weeks. And we had a lot better amenities. We had electric power and stuff, and we didn't. We weren't getting pelted with them fucking waves and shit. You know what I mean? And rain all the time, but I could kind of see it from that point of view, of kind of being in that situation personally. I think it'd probably be harder to be there with 2 people than it would be like 8. With 8, you have a variety of fucking people to talk to, and they keep each other in check.
Well,
And we had contact with the outside world. We could see it.
Right. So that makes a big difference.
Yeah, we were on the radio, and you could just look across the Gulf of Aqaba and just see Sharm el Sheikh, and they're over there partying.
Yeah.
When the wind was right, you could hear the music coming from it.
Yeah.
Across the
This
Gulf.
one, I think and I really think he did succeed in doing this. This movie is like, it's almost kind of like it was made back in the day. You know what I mean?
It's supposed to be made back in the day. It
really
looks like something made in the 20s.
Looks like that. It really looks like that. And it really kind of like sucks you into that world. And another thing that he did really, really well was, like I said, I don't think audio gets kind of enough accolades, like particularly in horror movies, because I think it's a really important aspect of horror movies.
Yeah.
But one thing he did, like just from the off, was he just had this droning of the lighthouse thing like going around, the waves crashing, the birds squealing and stuff, and it just like puts you in it. It like puts you in the world along with these guys, and you could see. Because the thing about it, so there's just two of them. They don't know each other prior to, because I guess, you know, the lighthouse keepers, or wickies as they call them, you know, they are there in 4-week shifts, and then they're supposed to have another team that comes and relieves them. So Willem Dafoe plays Thomas Wake, I think his name is, and he's like the elder one. He says he used to be a sailor, like back in the day, but then his leg got fucked up either from gangrene or because he broke it or whatever. And so he's been doing this lighthouse thing for a long time. And he has as his second, the guy played by Robert Pattinson, who has never done this before. He used to be a guy who worked in timber. He worked in the forest. He was a logger. And he's like been doing this for the first time. And apparently he really wanted to, you know, be a wickie and like work the light and everything like that. But Willem Dafoe will not let him. And he also just makes him do like all this unpleasant shit like around the lighthouse,
all the damn maintenance work.
Like he has to do all the maintenance, and he has to like empty their chamber pots and stuff like that, because these two guys, so there's this resentment simmering between the younger guy and the older guy. So the younger guy, they leave a lot of it ambiguous as to how much is really going on, how reliable either of the narrators are.
Yeah. You start to descend into madness along with them. Because you don't know what's the truth, and you don't know what really happened, or what's a damn an illusion, and what's symbolic. You know, what's happening in somebody's mind. It's just weird scenes where there's one weird scene where the wiki guy for a second is portrayed as the lighthouse with fucking beam coming out of his eye, hitting the other guy who's touching another guy, which is a long story about how that happened. So, you know, is this the eye of God passing judgment on somebody? Whose idea is this? You know, it's a weird movie.
It is very, very weird.
It's kind of like Eraserhead in a certain way, but more coherent.
It's more coherent than Eraserhead, although. Yeah. But it's a similar vibe because a lot of it is surrealistic.
Yeah.
Like I said, it seems like grounded in reality at the beginning, but then there's like little things where it starts to fall apart as they get like, you know, someone's supposed to come relieve them and they don't come, and it's like there's some question about how long they've actually been there. Like, you know, he thinks it's one time and the other guy thinks no, it's been this much longer. And there's stuff where you see something happen and then one of the characters said, no, that's not how it happened.
Or a character will lie. He'll say something happened, and then later he'll say, oh, I didn't say that.
I didn't say that. Yeah. So it's almost kind of like you said. I think it's very successful, not like sucking you into this world just because of how claustrophobic it is, and with the sound and everything like that, but also because you're kind of in the middle of a nightmare that you can't get out of, and you're not really sure what's real or not, because fucking Robert Pattinson's character, he keeps seeing shit like, you know, mermaids and like tentacles, and he keeps seeing stuff that you know can't be real.
And then he looks back on it as if he had sex with that mermaid.
Yeah.
And that it was a bad thing. Then it's just a movie you got to see. You got to be, you're either into this kind of movie or you're not.
It's definitely an experience. That's for sure.
Not a real pleasant experience all the time. You watch the movie and you kind of go insane with these people if you can. And you kind of have to just let the movie do what it wants to do. Just like, okay. But if you don't, there's a couple times where the lighthouse keeper just goes on these big tirades. He gives a curse from Poseidon. There's a lot that's in there that has to do with the movie.
Yeah.
And then later on, when the guy tries to take over the lighthouse and he wants to look inside the beam, he makes a warning about the fire of Prometheus and stuff. And if you're not really paying close attention, I have to go back and see exactly what he said, which explains how it ends. I can't really spoil
like
how
I
it
said,
ends.
There's a lot of
mythology, Greek mythology involved in this.
Particularly the story of Prometheus.
Prometheus, right.
That's
Prometheus
like a big...
stole fire from the gods, and this guy is stealing the lighthouse from a god in a way. Or did he? You don't know.
Yeah. And like I said, it gets more and more like surrealistic as it goes on. Yeah. One thing that surprised me about it was that it's actually much funnier than I was expecting. You know what I mean?
Well, that was because the tension was so high in certain areas. It only took a couple little funny things, a couple small things for the audience to lose it. Because the audience did laugh at a couple times. Because,
well, it was funny.
Yeah, but they were also under a lot of tension.
Yeah.
I could feel them back there. It was real quiet for a long time.
It was very quiet.
Because they were getting... It is a creepy movie.
It is very creepy.
And you're not really sure exactly what's happening. So... any moment of levity, they took advantage of that and started laughing at it to try to release some of their stress. I'm not fooled by these parlor tricks. I'm hardcore. I know these games. When the movie ended, I was a little bit pissed because I thought that they could have shown us a little bit more about the lighthouse and given us a concrete answer as to what exactly was going on, but the movie doesn't do that. You just got to...
Well, like I said, it's open to interpretation. Like I said, there's a lot of mythological stuff in this.
Interpretation.
I almost want to use the word purgatory.
Yeah, maybe.
If that's not spoiling it too much. But like I said, it could be interpreted in a lot of different ways.
It's just like people are kind of tripping out on the ways to how you can interpret the Joker. All right, the Joker ain't shit compared to this. Yeah, this is a lot more extreme. All right, this is it's a couple steps back from Eraserhead.
Yeah, not quite as surreal as
not as right as Korea, but
getting there.
Almost, I would say, but a little bit more surreal than Brazil, though. The movie that was a good movie, more surreal than Brazil.
Yeah,
it's a good movie if you understand this kind of movie.
If you were into that kind of stuff.
If you're dumb, you're not gonna like this. You're not gonna like this movie.
Well, yeah, it's definitely not like a big blockbuster or anything. I would assume that anyone who liked The Witch, now The Witch was not funny in the least.
Yeah.
But it was very serious and very creepy. This one is like that sort of, but it has a little bit more of like a black comedy kind of undertone, like slightly. And I'm not sure. It's a psychological horror for sure.
It's an art or a horror flick.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like I said, I think that if people are, if you're familiar with A24 Studios, if you're familiar with Robert Eggers, who directed this, then I don't think that you will be put off by this in any way. I don't want to say... I might have liked this a little bit better than The Witch, but it's kind of hard to say because they were pretty different, like, in their approach. So I don't know if I can really say that, but like you said, it did have like almost like a David Lynchian, well, like an Ingmar Bergman type of thing to it.
I'm gonna say it's a masterpiece. That doesn't necessarily mean that I liked it, though. I liked it.
Yeah.
But it did piss me off, and I think that might have been the intent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a provocative...
It's supposed to do that.
Type of movie. It's meant to engender discussion.
Yeah, and it's also meant to make you uncomfortable. And it was meant to make you question things about the movie. Which way it could have gone.
Because
it's meant to have a bunch of ambiguous different interpretations on ambiguous shit that they showed you. That it might be this or it might not be. It could be this or it could be that.
I mean, one of the creepiest things to me, I have to say, too, that both acting performances were phenomenal. Yeah. Especially Willem Dafoe was fucking great in this.
Was the guy Poseidon? Was the guy channeling Poseidon? Or did the dude was just so crazy he saw him as Poseidon?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about, ambiguous, and you won't understand what I'm talking about until you see the movie.
Until you see it, yeah. You definitely should see it. I mean, this is definitely...
Right.
I really got into it. I love this guy.
Was the fire in the lighthouse a Promethean fire, or the fire of Prometheus stolen from the gods? Or was it just the fact that they were drinking damn fucking oil?
Right.
Because they had run out of everything else.
Because they ran out of alcohol.
Because they ran out of alcohol. They were drinking lighthouse lamp oil. Because they ran out of... they couldn't drink the water, and then they ran out of alcohol, so they started drinking oil. And that would make you see some crazy shit, too.
Exactly. So, like I said, it could be either thing.
Right. It's all kind of blended into one experience, one descent into insanity.
It gave me a little bit of a Shining vibe, just because of the isolation and the fact that you're... Yeah, and the sound effects and the fact that you're kind of like closed in. And these two guys were closed in with each other. They didn't really like each other all that much. Yeah. They had to sleep in the same room. They had to like pee and poop in the same room.
Yeah, and they're pissing in the damn pots in front of each other.
They had no privacy from one another. Yeah, he's just like, Willem Dafoe's like super flatulent.
Fucking spying on each other, jerking off and shit. Fucking then reporting each other for jerking off. It's just fucking weird.
That's what I mean.
Weird
so it's
shit.
like, to me, the scariest part of the movie, I mean, I loved like all the weird, like surreal imagery, like the mermaid and everything like that. But the scariest thing to me was when there started to be like some doubt about how long they had been there, or like what exactly happened. Like, was he chasing him with an axe, or was it the other way around? That like really freaked me out, because I was just like, well, shit, now who's crazy? Are they both crazy?
Well, they were drinking that damn lamp oil.
Yeah. There's, like I said, neither of them are reliable narrators. Yeah. So you really don't know like what really happened and what really what didn't.
So it's a frustrating movie if you want solid answers to things.
Yeah, but if you like ambiguity and you like these kind of like art flicks, I got super into it.
I know she was into it,
and I just like I enjoyed it very much. I know it's a weird word.
I understood what it was doing, but I thought it was going to clarify at the end and in a reveal, but it didn't.
I mean, I have to say though that I love that people like Robert Eggers and Ari Aster and stuff like that are making movies nowadays, because I love this like art house horror type of thing. Like, especially after all the stupid, like, I'm not like, I like The Conjuring and all that kind of stuff, but they, there's so many of those and they're really not doing anything interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of like it more experimental.
This movie's gonna bomb. It's gonna bomb. Maybe, but it's a great movie.
Well, like I said,
it's a great movie.
The Witch did really well, actually.
Okay, well then,
the guy, the first director. I mean,
we'll see.
I think horror fans.
Maybe I'm underestimating people.
Well, horror fans in general, a lot of them kind of are into this. Type of
from
thing.
what I saw in the theater, it was going way over their heads.
It was full. The theater was almost full.
It was almost full, but it was going over their head. As they were leaving, I could hear them talking, and they were like, "What the fuck was that? That was weird."
Now, the people that were behind us, I had heard them talking about The Witch beforehand, so they knew what they were getting into.
Okay.
Like I said, anybody that saw this guy's first movie would not have been like, "What the fuck was that?" You know what I mean? Yeah. Because even though the movies are totally different, you would have known what you were getting into.
It's a creepy ass movie.
Yeah, there was some really cool like imagery in this, and it was just like
creepy ass.
The actors were great. I have to say, good for Robert Pattinson, who got famous obviously for those horrible Twilight movies. Good for him for doing like fucking weird ass movies.
Acting was great in it.
Yeah, because he was in this.
They were doing archaic fucking accents. Willem Dafoe fucking knocked it out of the fucking park.
He just leaned right into that, didn't he?
King of the fucking sea.
And then
the other guy kind of had an old, kind of an archaic New York kind of sounding accent.
Yeah, or Bostonian or something.
Type accent who was calling bullshit. I said, you're a parody, just fucking funny.
you Captain Ahab bullshit.
Yeah. It was...
So like I said, there was like funny moments in it like that. Yeah, with the interactions between them.
Yeah, but then it would kind of throw you out of it. You're like, is he a parody? Is he pretending to be?
That's what I mean. They didn't clarify.
Seaman like that, like old fucking sailor stories, So
because there was some stuff
he may have been a fraud.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Depending on what
neither of them are reliable,
right?
Because like you said, like at the beginning. He said something about how like he lost his leg or how his leg got fucked up, and then later he said something else.
And he goes, "I didn't say."
And then was like, "Oh, I thought you said you had gangrene or whatever," and he's like, "I didn't say that. You must be mistaken." So it's like, what?
I think a big key to the story is when they started running totally out of water, and all they did was just drink fucking rum.
Yeah.
And then when they ran out of that,
the provisions.
Yeah,
that made me laugh really hard.
And then they ran out of that, and fucking they started drinking the lamp oil. And that's when shit really got heavy. So I'm sure that lamp oil had a lot to do with it.
Probably, yeah. Might have been causing some hallucinatory effects. But yeah, this is really like I said, this is a film experience. Not for your people that are just into like regular.
It's not lighthearted watching.
It's really not. But like I said, if you enjoy watching, you know what else it reminded me of? Repulsion. It reminded me of Repulsion, the Roman Polanski movie, where it's not fun, but it's like it's a very compelling like experience because you feel like
to me it was an uncomfortable experience.
Yeah, you feel like you're getting like sucked into madness along with these two people.
Yeah,
but I like that though. That's what horror is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. Yeah. If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, I don't think it's very good. But yeah, so definitely, if you know you're into this thing, you should go check this shit out because this was, like I said, this was batshit crazy, and I thought it was fantastic. And the acting was good, cinematography was good, everything. It was just crazy as shit, and I loved it.
It's a masterpiece.
I loved it.
It's a masterpiece.